Welcome to Go Off and Create, the podcast, a podcast where we interview people of all kinds and talk to them how they, go off and create. I'm your host, Camia, and I'm sitting down with Randall Avery. Hi, Randall.
How's it going?
It's going good. How do you go off and create?
So, ride with me. So, two ways.
Okay.
So the first one is imagine you're painting. You've been to like a sip and stroke, right?
I have.
And you're painting, and then what you're painting with is your time and your money.
Okay.
When I come up beside somebody and I help them paint that picture to the point that they're happy and excited about it and show all their friends. So the way I go off and create is help people use their time and money to make the life that they've always wanted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the life I want is, I'm just playing. So time and money. So that's a financial thing, right?
That's correct.
So have you always been into finance? Did little Randall want to do finance, or?
I think where it began was when I used to receive money from a birthday, all those Christmas gifts, I used to hide it under my trophies. Just tuck it under there. And I used to stare at that and it was like, there has to be something I can do better with my money. Okay. So money was always a big part of me growing up. And I went to college, learned some things, and it was like, I want to help that little kid who didn't know what to do with money. Okay. So that was like the beginning part of working with people with money.
Okay. What trophies were you hiding under?
So baseball.
Baseball, okay. Yeah. Baseball, that's it? Just baseball?
Baseball, basketball, but it was mostly baseball trophies that I racked up.
And you said you didn't know what to do with that money. So you weren't wasting the money, you were just hiding them under trophies.
No. And I felt like there has to be something better than what I'm doing.
Really?
Why isn't somebody doing something with this money? Why is it not working for me? Mm-hmm. You know, why sometimes, my mom may sneak over to tip the pizza guy with that money. Of course, she'll reimburse it, but still, there had to be something I could do different.
Right. Very inquisitive for a young man, hiding his money underneath the trophy. I swear I wasn't having those thoughts. I wasn't even concerned about anything financial as a kid. So did you go to college for finance, or is it just, where did you go to school?
So I went to Georgia State University. Okay. So I originally thought I was going to be an accountant. Mm-hmm. Took a class, Finance 3300, learned something called compound interest.
Don't know.
And I was completely dug in. Compound interest is you make money on top of money on top of money. So that money that was on top of my dresser, underneath my trophy case, could have been working for me instead of me just looking at it. So after I realized that, I was dug in on finance. I was a dual major, so both finance and accounting degree, and that's kind of started my career journey.
Okay, so did you automatically, because you just celebrated 10 years, starting your company, Deasil Wealth Management, I can speak, people. Deasil Wealth Management. So did you start that immediately after graduating college, or?
No, so I had like a whole career beforehand. So first 3 years out of college, 3 years internal audit, learn about processes and systems. And I think that's really good for any business owner, to be honest with you. I think understanding how stuff flow, how to make sure you can check your work is important. After the 3 years there, I did 7 years in kind of corporate FP&A.
I don't know.
Financial planning and analysis. Okay?
Thank you.
And that's where we analyze different company books, strategize, project, all those different things. And I enjoyed that work. But my problem was it didn't have a soul.
Okay, yeah.
I wanted to actually help people day in and day out. I was doing well financially, but I looked around. People were not receiving the financial knowledge to win with money. So why can I not be that change I want to see?
That's fact, because let me tell you, I'm not bad with finance. So let me not say that. I'm not bad with finances. I like to save. Yeah. I pay my bills on time. I don't like to spend the rest of the check, but what I was going to say is like the numbers and all those things, I think it can be intimidating for people. Yeah. And also some people just aren't as well versed with their finances. Yes. So I can understand wanting to have a soul, or have the help have a soul, if you will. So when did you decide, like, I need to start my own business? Like, I want to do this. I want to go in that direction. And why Deasil?
Yeah. Great question. So when I did kind of corporate FP&A, I did kind of stuff on the side. So a small business owner, I helped them analyze their financials. So I always had that itch. My dad was an entrepreneur for a good portion of my life. So I saw what he did. I wanted the flexibility. He was at, my baseball games. He was at my football games. He was even at my golf tournaments all day long. And that flexibility of entrepreneur is something that I wanted for myself. So I knew this 9 to 5 was not going to last long. Okay. And of course, like most people, you have a bad boss.
Yeah.
And the question you have to ask yourself, am I going to subject myself to this job after job after job? One funny story, I was sitting down with my friends, people I went to college with. One of the ladies worked in HR, and I was complaining about my job. I was like, all these jobs are the same. They're never going to change. And she looked at me and she said, Randall, there's a common denominator there. And that's you. Now that she told me that, I was gung-ho on how can I make this transition happen.
Yeah.
So the question is, why Deasil?
Yes.
And this is an embarrassing story, but it has
Side note, I really was like Deasil, so is his last name Deasil? Like, is it a nickname? So anyway, continue.
So when I was in college, I used to play video games. And you have to give yourself a nickname when you play video games.
Okay.
So I wrote the name Deasil. I'm a math person, not a spelling person, so I used that spelling. Okay. So when I first printed out my business card, this is when I was in corporate America doing consulting on the side, I wrote it out just like that and then autocorrect to the correct spelling.
Right, of course.
But I looked deeper and I was like, I Googled the spelling that I used, and it's actually a Scottish word. And it means the way the sun moves. And it's supposed to denote favor.
Oh.
So that's why I named it Deasil, because when I help people with money, it's not just to compound as fast as possible. It's usually to move in a way that promotes favor, because that's really how you get the blessing. That's how you really grow. Because as you know, as a business owner, you need some favor coming your way, not just smarts, not just what you know how to do. It's who you can bring into your life to help you win with money.
Oh, you just lucked up with that one. You were like, oh, Deez, I'm going to spell it wrong. And that's fine. And look, it's a Scottish word.
Yes, right.
Are you pronouncing it correctly?
Yes. I hope so.
Okay, Mr. Gamer, what were you playing?
It's a Halo.
Halo, okay. I'm not a gamer, but I know what Halo is.
It was a big deal in college.
It was a big deal.
Not
so I'll
as
give
big
you
as
that.
it now, but Halo, I was.
You said you used to play though, so you don't decompress with video games anymore?
Nah, I kind of gave that up. Probably about third year into college, the time didn't matter. I kind of focused on the book.
So never going back?
I will play Mario Kart with my younger brother and siblings and stuff like that. And I can still win. I can kick butt.
You said I can still win.
Don't
Are
sleep
you a sore
on me.
loser?
I like to win. I compete.
Okay.
And that goes with everything in life. I just love competing. It's not really about winning and losing. It's about I want to see that person put their best foot forward, and I want to put my best foot forward as well.
Okay, so now I guess that just goes into the business as well.
That's right.
So you've been helping clients. I know you just had what do you call it? I saw it. It was brunch.
Brunch and budgets.
Budget.
Yes.
For lovers.
Yes.
How did that go for you?
So Brunch and Budgets, unfortunately, I had to cancel that event.
Okay.
Yes. But the point of Brunch and Budgets, one thing is working with clients, I noticed that if a couple begins to win with money, that actually brings them closer together. I've noticed that if you're winning with money as a couple, a lot of bad stuff will happen just like all the other couples, but you have that glue that I have somebody who has my back financially. I think that's important. And I realize that if couples don't begin winning with money, they can never come see me. Right. There's a certain threshold in payment for my services. So when I thought about Brunch and Budget, I was like, how can I get couples at the beginning to come together and meet with money? And that's why I came up with that idea. Now, I had to postpone it, but I definitely want to bring it back.
So why is there a need to help individuals, but also help couples?
Yeah. Because as everybody knows, it takes two in this day and age. Two people to afford a mortgage, two people to raise kids, and families are the building blocks of society. So if you have to get that right before you can go off and do anything else. So my goal is just kind of keep couples together. I was blessed to have my parents together, and seeing that and seeing alternative what happens when they're not together with friends, family members, and cousins. I want people to have that experience that I had. And it starts off, my area is to help them build the wealth so that they're secure. Okay,
so that makes sense. But what are tips or something to help people? Because budgeting is not always easy depending on who you're talking to. Right. Sometimes some people don't know where to start, or they just don't feel like they even have the finances that are worthy of trying to budget.
So the first thing I do, especially with couples, with anybody, even with yourself, be transparent. List out your assets, your liabilities. You may be surprised. A lot of couples don't know how much credit card debt that person has.
Really quickly, can we just dumb it down for a second? Yeah. What is an asset? What is a liability? Sure. Just in case.
So an asset is anything that is supposed to produce income. That is determined by assets. That can be something that doesn't produce barely income at all, as a savings account, a checking account, or it could be an investment, or it could be like a real estate mortgage. Real estate asset. Liabilities is something that you owe to somebody. So that could be a personal loan, a car note, credit cards, anything. Now, the key word in the area that I focus on is something called net worth. And your net worth is your assets minus your liability. Somebody say, am I doing well with money? Let's look at your net worth. Did I do good this month with money? How did your net worth change? Those are kind of like my measure of success. So when I say be transparent, first of all, start off with showing everything, your assets, your liabilities, and that way you can kind of move forward.
Yeah. So going back to net worth, like someone who's not, because when you think of that, you probably think of like celebrities or athletes because, it's astronomical.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like just us regular degglers, you may not know exactly what accumulates your net worth. So is your net worth just how much a company's paying you? Like, what is it?
So your net worth is actually your assets. And people confuse the two, especially on social media. There's a difference between how much income you have and what is your net worth of the assets that you have. Your assets for most folks is going to be what's in their bank account, in their investment account, in their retirement account, and the value of their home. Add those things together, that will be comprised of what your total assets are, not including income, because we all know income can go at any time.
Absolutely.
Especially in this day and economy where jobs are just flying out the door.
Yeah.
You need to really focus on your assets because that, for me, gives folks options.
Yes.
If you don't have the assets, you have to go into work.
Yes.
And I want to give people the options and the freedom.
Yes. And that makes sense. So for clarification, you're doing great, but just for clarification, I want people to understand, like, you could have a lot of assets, but that's not in your pocket. Cause I know a lot of people like, oh, they're rich. They got this much money. They can do whatever. But it's like, they might be worth that much, but it's not like sitting in their bank. It's not like right in their pocket. So
that's a big difference between somebody who has assets and somebody who's liquid. I think what you're referring to. Liquid means I can go write a check. I can go pull that money out at any time. But if you have assets that are stuck, let's say somebody has 2 rental properties, they could still be cash poor and struggling. So one of the things I help my clients is make sure they're as liquid as possible, because it's not only spending, I can spend what I want to, but how about I can give what I want to?
Yes.
I think recently you had on somebody who wanted to be in politics, and people don't realize people have to donate to those people. It is not your candidate until you donate. You have to do more than just vote in society. You have to actually give money to the things that you truly care about. And that takes liquid funds.
Yes. I need to get my liquid funds. But ebbs and flows of business. So like when it comes to developing assets, would it be important to have a 401k? Would it be important to have Roth or traditional? And I'm saying that because still to this day, I think a lot of people don't have 401ks or don't know the severity of having one, because who wants to work forever?
Yes.
Who wants to work till they're 60, 70? And the number keeps going up as when you can retire. Ideally, retirement early would be prime. For me, I don't know about everybody else, but for me. So what would you say to that? Like, is it important just to get that, even if you're a young person? Like, would you start there?
So let's start off the importance. So back in the day, you used to have something called a pension. And the pension says if I work for a company for so many years, they're going to take care of me in retirement. The 401k solution was to take away pensions and have the individual responsible for providing for themselves for retirement. And that is so important that you focus today as early as possible. Now, a lot of people think, well, I can work forever. I feel good today. But a lot of people stop working, not because they don't want to work anymore or they can stop. It's because health takes them off. So it is important for people to save as much as they can as early as possible. And one of the ways people have done this is do their retirement plan options, which is usually a 401k. And the benefit of 401k is you put in money pre-tax. That means you don't pay tax on it. And also your employer matches. Over time, that builds up to the point where you don't have to work anymore. So I have clients who come to me and I look at their portfolio and they say, yeah, just some boss told me to put money in here and I just increased it 1% every year. And I never looked at it. Here, look at this paperwork. And I look at it like, they have $1 million saved up.
Right. And they don't even
they don't even know. So it's that passive, non-thinking investing, especially if you're not in love with finance.
Yeah, absolutely.
9 out of 10 people, that is going to be their best bet to participate in their employer's plan.
Okay. And I guess it just depends. I know all employers aren't all about the matching.
Yes,
but
that's true.
So if you have the 401k, like I know you said, you can contribute or you cannot contribute, but just not contributing makes it take longer. But what I heard, it could be wrong. Tell me, I'm ignorant. I'm not ignorant, but like I could be saying it wrong. If you contribute money, then you can take that money out, and it's not. Is it held against you or not held against you?
So you have to understand. So I think a lot of times we're going to go back to the purpose of it. The purpose of this money is to provide for yourself later on in life. Okay. So the government put in rules to say, hey, these are some of the things you can't do with these accounts because this is the purpose of it. So for your 401k, which is a pre-tax account, meaning that when you take money out of it, you will be hit with a penalty and you will be hit with taxes. Okay. Now, I think some of the attributes that you were describing was something called a Roth IRA.
Yeah.
So a Roth IRA is something that is going to be tax exempt, meaning it's not going to be taxed at all, the money that you put into it. So with the money that you put in, that contribution you can pull out without taxes or penalties. It's just the growth that you have to hold in there. So the different accounts are used for different things. And I think the earlier question is, which one should you invest in? I recommend you spread it out because there's different reasons. The first one, the 401k, the traditional, tax benefits. If you earn a certain amount, you may want those tax benefits. The Roth is something that you definitely want to build up because you don't have to worry about taxes in the future. So most clients are going to come in with both Roth and traditional, and that makes more planning opportunities and more optionalities for them.
So basically, at the bare minimum, start with your 401k to build assets.
Yes, and some employers offer a Roth 401k just to complicate things a little bit more.
I mean, if I'm being transparent, I have a Roth and a traditional. So people like
so the rule of thumb is always, if you expect to earn more money in the future than you do today, participate in the Roth. Okay. If the opposite is the case, then you participate in the 401k. Now you have to take your individualized situation. Can I take that tax hit or pay those taxes? So it's very individualized, but in general, if you plan on making more in the future, definitely invest in your Roth today.
Yeah. Well, see, I'm trying to get there. I'm getting there. I will do that because I do want to invest in my Roth. But I just, hey, life be life. Anyway, but I don't take money. I don't play with it. I don't play about taxes. I don't want them looking for me. I don't want any problems. I just leave me be.
I tell people, you do not play with the IRS. Getting into this line of work, I didn't realize so many people owed IRS debt. Yeah. And that is a big thing. And let me tell you about the IRS. They're going to get their money. And they have ways of getting their money. So if you're going to prioritize somebody to pay off, I always prioritize the IRS.
Do you when you come across clients like that, do you have resources to connect them to people who can help them get their taxes in order or anything like that?
Yeah, so for a tax situation, that's going to be somebody who specializes in taxes and tax preparation. So that way I will fill them out to somebody who does that all day, every day. You need to know the person who can put somebody on the phone if you ever try to call IRS. It's hard. You need to know somebody knows how to negotiate and knows how to reason with those individuals in the IRS. So that takes a specialized person, and I think it's worth paying that cost to get that person.
Yeah, absolutely. So also, does life insurance play a part in what you're doing to help people have a stable foundation?
Yeah. So life insurance, so I am a fee-only financial planner. What that means is I don't receive any commissions off any advice that I've received. So that means I can't sell insurance. What I do is I advise on insurance. So I'll do a sit down and look at your individual situation, calculate your need, and then I say, hey, go off to this person or this provider to get the necessary insurance that you need. That way I'm unbiased. Anything that I advise you is something that I truly believe you need.
Yeah. I asked about that just because I know that there's people who you can pull money from your life insurance. Well, you don't have to get into the deeds of that, but I know some people do it just because they need a major purchase. It's a major purchase, so they need to and so I might be explaining this wrong. Again, I'm not financial. But that's why I asked about it.
Because some people, so there's something called whole life, very life, where you can take loans from it. Thing I always tell people is I've never heard anybody become rich utilizing those assets. Doesn't mean people who aren't rich have those assets, but utilizing that as a strategy to gain wealth, I don't think that's a thing. Yeah.
So in this economy, because I feel like everything's expensive, even air, it's all expensive. What are ways to help? What are some tips to help in this economy? And it's not to make the economy better because I think we're just going to have to ride this out. But if you're trying to budget in this, how do we utilize your services?
So one of the things I help clients with is I call it cash flow management. That's where I meet them on a month in and month out basis, and we track their spending habits. So let me explain how somebody, let's say they can't reach out to me, how they can budget for themselves. The first thing is you have to take inventory on all the things that you spend on. So make a list of, okay, I have my utilities, I have my rent, I have my mortgage, I have my HOA, all those different things on a list, and give an estimate on how much you actually spend on those items. On the top of that, put in your income. Take your income, subtract from your expenses. That is going to be your supposed savings on a month in and month out basis. Now, the question is, how do I look at actuals? Usually what I did back in the day is I actually pull out a spreadsheet and go into your bank or your credit card, and you can actually export the transactions from your bank and then categorize them based off what you have in your budget and compare what you budgeted to what you actually did. And if there's a variance, you have to ask yourself why. I'm not sure if you know with the pie chart where it kind of breaks things, different things. When I look at my clients' expenses, I put it in a pie chart and I tell my clients, well, this is actually your heart chart. Where your money is being allocated is what you truly value. So if you value your home, it should be a big portion of your home. If you say you value your kids, it should be a big portion to value your kids. If you value eating out, a portion will be valued to eating out. That shows you what you actually value. And if that heart chart is not aligned to what you truly believe, that's when their adjustments need to be made. Also, if there's no savings, you know where you can cut based off your own value system.
Okay, so you're going to be coming out with a workbook or something. Because hearing you say that makes me think like there's going to be people who just, it's going to be like, want. Like they're going to want assistance or at least want someone to do that for them. And so, you know, you kind of like hire to your deficit, right? And I know you can be hired to help, but like if they can't afford to hire you, do you have things in place to be able to just be like, well, you know what? Here's my workbook or here's this.
So I don't have anything set up in place, but there are some online resources. I think Dave Ramsey has an Every Dollar. I think there's an app called Personal Finance. So there are resources that help people with kind of the budgeting and that aspect of it. Because it's to me, it's the basic element of any financial plan is how is your cash flow going on a month in, a month out basis? Yeah,
absolutely. Because I just think finances are just so important, people. I don't know how many clients you get. They're like, I want to be a millionaire, which is not a lot of money anymore. So does that happen often?
That they want to be?
Yeah, they're like, help me reach this status.
You know, to be honest, at this point, just where I am in my business, I don't take on clients that I can't project seeing them become a millionaire.
You're right.
It's just, it's a combination of what they aspire to do with their career and also what they've accumulated to that date. So somebody, and it's just, given my business, I want people who are wealth focused, who are willing to build up assets, and some people just are not, and that's okay. There's no sin with not having.
Right.
But that just for my business and how I want to grow, I need people who really enjoy building wealth.
Right. So it's more like the long game. Correct. Like you're looking not for quick, get rich quick things. I was gonna say schemes, but it's not a scheme. But like some people just want So you want the longevity, you want people to be able, because wealth is different from like, they say it's like different from like being rich. It's more like like you said, your investments, your assets and all those things. So are there things that are worthy of investments? Because someone might be scared of like real estate.
So real estate's an interesting thing. So I think I want to touch on that a little bit. So people say go in real estate. It's big in our culture. It's big online, all those different things. This is what I advise folks. Real estate is good if you have two things. You have high income. Why high income? Because real estate is good to write off taxes. The second thing is going to be is if you have a pile of money. What is a pile of money? A pile of money is usually around $25,000 to $30,000 after you make your down payment. Because what happens? A roof goes bad. AC goes bad. You need to have resources put aside for those activities. So if somebody comes to me, they don't have those two things in place, that makes me want to pump the brakes. And I think that's not really spoken about. They say about, okay, well, I have these many doors, I'm collecting this much rent. You never talk about vacancies. You never talk about repairs. You never talk about the late night call when there's flooding in your basement. Those are the conversations that are not having that my clients have to deal with on a day in and day out basis.
I mean, I think that's fair, but I think it's just the narrative around like real estate, because it's like everybody's like renting or the Airbnb thing, so I think that why so many people have flooded that market. But at the same time, it's weird because I also don't agree with it being like ate up by corporate. You know, I think community should still be involved in the whole like selling of homes and stuff. Anyway, if it's not real estate, then what would you advise like someone to go into?
So two things. So the first thing is the number one investment is always going to be in yourself. And I always say this all the time. You have anything you want, as long as you're willing to give somebody else what they want. So when I talk about a good client for me, it's somebody who's willing to get out there and give something out to society to actually receive something. A lot of people just want to clock in and clock out and build wealth that way. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I need somebody who wants to invest in themselves, which would in turn give to society, in which they will give them money back. So the best way is invest ETFs. The second way usually is the traditional way, usually a mix of stocks and bonds, ETFs, mutual funds, low cost. Yeah. That will get you there most of the time. So I enjoy folks that, one, have a skill set, a talent that they want to put out there, and then also want to build wealth on the side to kind of hedge their bets there.
So I'm glad you mentioned stocks. Are you good with stocks?
So I do not, for clients, invest in individual stocks because my niche is business owners and practice owners. So their best dollar spent, if they're going up that risk scale, is to reinvest back into their business. Everything else would go into ETFs, which are stock-based ETFs.
Okay, I just had to ask because stocks are confusing for a lot of people. It's confusing for me, so let me not even act like I know what I'm doing. So that's why I was like, but it's not something you offer. So if someone wanted more in depth with stocks, you would just kind of
So it would not be their primary focus with me. So I do have clients that invest in stocks and I help them invest in stocks, but it's usually like 5 to 10% of their overall portfolio. It's more of a scratch an itch. Yeah, I can go to a conference or a networking event and say, I invest in that type of stock too as well. It's more like I am as well versus this is actually building wealth for me.
I mean, because stocks are a gamble, which also stocks can be attached to your 401ks, if people don't know.
Yes.
So it's a gamble. So that's why I was wondering, if you actually are in depth. And do you have stocks for yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have stocks for myself. I'm actually in a family investment club as well, where we invest in individual stocks. And so, I enjoy certain companies, but the older I get, and maybe just because of age, I'd rather just do a stock ETF. It just works. Because when you talk about a stock, you have to say when to buy.
Can you explain what ETF is? Because some people may know.
So ETF stands for Exchange Traded Funds, okay? So it almost trades like a stock. You buy a basket of stocks, and then once you buy that basket of stocks, it kind of operates and creates dividends, all those things. So why do an ETF? It's because it has tax advantages.
Yes.
When you're part of a mutual fund is going to trade within itself, and then you're going to have to get a tax bill at the end of the year. But an ETF, you do not receive a tax bill. So that's why ETFs are a little bit more tax efficient than the mutual funds.
Yeah.
And so that way I can get a pool of stocks, but I get the tax benefit as if I only own a single stock, which is a win-win.
Right. I also heard that because stocks ebbs and flows, they go up and down. The hit is less drastic if you're in an ETF than if you have an individual stock to that company.
Correct.
Right. So, hey, see, I learned something.
You're there.
But, and also dividends too. If people don't know, dividends is something that the company pays out every quarter.
It depends on the stock, but dividend paying stocks will pay out every quarter, sometimes twice a year.
Right.
Just depends on how the stock.
So
and the focus, in my opinion, should be less on dividends, because think about what a dividend is. A dividend says, I, the company, cannot reinvest back in my company in a profitable way. Therefore, I'll write you check the investors the money, and that's their best way they can spend that money. So that's what a dividend is. So I would prefer a company that has profitable opportunities to invest and grow their business, similar to how I advise my clients.
But you can put that dividend in your bank, though. It might be like $1, but you can put it in there.
I mean,
wealth. I'm just we building wealth. It's a marathon, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, I think that what are things that Deasil Wealth Management offers? Is it just let me help you start from the ground up, or do you offer other services?
So there's two. One. First one was the cash flow management that I mentioned earlier. The second one is just traditional financial planning services. What we do is take you where you are. This is who I am. This is my income. This is my wealth level. And we actually project where you want to be in retirement. Then we take those assets, reinvest those, and we monitor those on a quarterly basis. And we also meet and we discuss different things. Did you update your beneficiaries? Does this bank service you in the best way? Do you have enough insurance in place? So I have kind of a whole client calendar where we kind of do these check-ins, things that everybody knows they should do. But if you don't have anybody tapping you on the shoulder and say, I think you need to check this today.
Do you encourage, I know it's not your business, but do you encourage people to get wills and trusts?
Yeah, so that's a big thing. And I got this from my mom. So part of my job is to be a little bit of a nag. Did you do this? Did you do that? And that is really hard to get people to make that step, to look at their own really morality and mortality.
Yeah, I mean, life's not promised.
Yeah, and say, hey, what do I want if I'm not here? Because especially if you have been able to build a certain level of wealth, you have some level of wanting to control as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of those are correlated. So be able to give up that control and say, hey, this is my will and wishes, and articulate to your family as well.
Mm-hmm.
That is a tough ask, but it's a necessary ask.
Yeah. And like, do you know the difference between the will and trust, just in case other people don't?
So what is a will? A will is it says, the longer word is the last will and testament. This is my wishes with my money. Okay. The difference is between a will and a trust is a will still has to be probated, meaning a judge has to look at it and say, aye. With the trust, that bypasses probate. So, and also a will is what goes through probate is a public record. Somebody can say, oh, well, Randall Avery decided to give his nephew X amount of dollars. You may not want to know that, or the public to know that. So a trust can actually have those things. And there's some tax benefits. There's some different rules you can have in trust. So trust is its own section and specialty. But that's really the difference between a will and a trust. It's a trust probably gives you a little bit more control. A will have to be adjudicated by a judge, and also subject to a lot of state laws and things like that.
Okay, but I think it's definitely something to consider. I don't have a will or a trust right now, but
you'll get there.
I will. It's on my brain. You see, I asked.
Yes.
So it's there, but it's very important because I think we've seen a lot of where someone has passed away and there isn't a will, or there is one, but there isn't a trust to really like hone in on something. And to be honest, death sometimes brings out the worst in people. Like, you want to believe that things will be handled well when you're gone, but some people just do the most.
A couple of years ago, I read the book, and it has a kind of like a tough name. It's called Die with Zero.
Die with Zero?
Die with Zero. Okay. The concept of why do we wait till we pass to pass down wealth? So think of this concept. When you're 20 years old and you receive, let's say you receive $20,000, that's a big deal to a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
But if I'm 60 and I receive $20,000, does that really change your life? Your projects? But that's what we do. When somebody passes, let's say they live all the way to age 90, their kids are usually about 60 or 70. That wealth isn't changing anything.
Yeah.
If you want to influence somebody for the positive, why not give it while they're young and really focus on it? So the concept of Die with Zero is you're supposed to be spending as much as you possible in your 50s and 60s. But just think of projecting yourself into your 90s, actually dying with zero. And I think that's a different concept.
Maybe y'all make it to 90. Make it. I don't know. Some people don't really want to be here at 100.
Yeah.
But hey, if I'm like in my right state of mind or something, I'll be all right.
But do you even want to be managing $2 million when you're 90?
No, I want to be able to I don't want it. It's not about spending, but I do want wealth to be able to support the things that I want to support. Like, there's so many things that I want to donate to and do all these things, especially with Go Off and Create. I want to be able to help people go off and create. So that's where my whole thing comes from, with trying to, generate wealth, but also just increase finances in general.
I believe that.
Because I can't do that. I ain't got no money.
Gotta have
Can you
money.
do that?
Gotta have the money.
You gotta have the money. As they say, some people say, like, money can buy you happiness,
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, I think a lot of people realize, they say, well, I don't need money and all that stuff, but we live in a capitalistic society.
Yeah, we do.
It takes money to move things.
Yes.
So if you have something that you're passionate about, guess what? You got to finance it. If you care about kids, you got to give some money to kids.
Right.
You care about a certain cause or something, you have to build up assets. You can't say, well, I just give my labor. That's not being genuine in this society.
Yeah, it's really not. But I think you've been really helpful in giving me information, giving them information. So where can people find you at? So
website, www.deasilwm.com. So DEASILWM.com. Go to my website. Also, Randall Avery. It's on all the social media platforms. You can get connected with me there. That's where I give a lot of free content, stuff like this, to really help people grow with wealth. That's awesome. Thank you, Randall. And Go Off and Create is on Instagram. It's on Facebook. Go Off and Create is also on Substack, where I try to put different content so you're not getting the same stuff, but follow us there. Thank you. Bye. Take care.